Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Discover a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Don't Blame Me, where we give you wonderful, amazing, life-changing advice. And who are we? But two mere mortals on Beyonce's internet.
Boo Ivy's internet.
The way that, like, you couldn't tell me shit if that was my mom. I would be a terror.
I need you to watch
Beyonce Parent Her?
Beyonce Parent Her 1, but also the documentary when it, I don't know when,
Which one?
Not the documentary, the Renaissance movie.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know when it's supposed, it still has not come out yet.
Oh.
I don't know what Beyonce's doing.
She's editing on iMovie.
She's like, here we go with the visuals, finally.
I will be like, I need you to be so fucking serious.
I know.
And give me a goddamn break.
What I think happened was because if you look at the original visuals before Renaissance came out, it was very cowboy themed.
Oh, whoa.
And so it must have been Cowboy Carter that we were seeing. And then she was like, we're not dropping Cowboy Carter anymore.
The way that you're just 100% right. No, that's actually, that is without a doubt what's happened.
And then she went on tour, so then she didn't have time
and she
to
said,
do
stop
Renaissance.
bothering me, you fucking losers. It's coming. I just can't tell you. And then you're right. These are the visuals we get.
Yeah.
Because
Because
I'm
she was
thinking of
at
all
a
the TikTok
ranch.
designers who are the people who are designers who were saying that like she had borrowed X, Y, and Z and they didn't get to see it, and it was like cowboy attire.
Yep. Because she was on a ranch. There was horses. There were real life cowboys and cowgirls, cow women. I don't know how y'all like to be. Cow people. They were like riding around, and then nothing really came upon with that stuff. But she was playing songs from Renaissance on top of that.
You figured it out. You cracked it.
Maybe.
No, I think you're right. Even if she never releases it because she's over it now, like I still think that's what happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're gonna every episode we will be talking about Beyonce,
It's just so hard
so
not to.
just deal with it. We started on Friday. Here we are now, Monday.
It's just we're not. No one's the same, and like you, I know that you also all feel the same way.
Yeah.
And if you don't, Sam Doll, get off this. Get out of here. I'll talk about you on Thursday. You can loop back in. Come back on in here. Well, we're Meghan and Melisa, and we're going to give you wonderful, amazing, life-changing advice that will change your life. You might be wondering how we're certified, how we're qualified to give such impactful advice that will change the course of history. And to that, I say what we lack in credentials, we make up for in
Big opinions.
big old, fat old, juicy opinions. And we know when to share them. And this is solicited because you call and you ask us for advice, and then we give it to you. So if you would like to participate in an upcoming episode, you can give us a call at 310-694-0976. International listeners, you can leave us a voice memo at meganpodcast@gmail.com. For both of those, they have to be under 3 minutes long. We do ask that you get your parents' permission, or you're 18 or over. You write everything down. You practice a couple times, time yourself out. Make sure you've got it all in there, all the relevant information. You can let us know your pronouns if you would like, but we do ask that you include your ages and all of like the key crucial information, because, you know, we want to give you the best advice possible. And there's no like follow-ups like that. You can call in for like an update, but like we don't get any extra info later. So give us it all.
You can also slide into our DMs, and all the information about writing in applies. 300 words or less. We've had a few people send us messages asking how they can ask for advice.
You guys need to stop skipping the beginning of the podcast.
And it's also in the show notes.
Yeah, that's helpful too. Come on. We love to give advice. And, you know, you can ask us anything. Like we can, there's no stone left unturned unless we don't answer it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but like shoot your shot. And we're not afraid to tell you if you're like in the wrong. So if you're like, I need someone to be like so real with me, that'll be us. If you're like, I actually need you to be a little bit delusional with me, we can also we can be accommodated to that to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
I love being delusional.
Your hair,
or toxic.
The color right now looks really good.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Because I never wear my glasses, I can like never tell. And I'm like, is it too blonde?
No, it's good.
Thanks. Yay!
I haven't been able to stop looking at it.
Thank you. Oh, that makes me so happy. I also washed it.
Yeah, I think last week it wasn't.
Oh,
and so
you didn't get the full
in person.
Because that's one of the crazy things about blonde hair. When it's dirty, changes the color.
Yep,
fully changes the color. See now.
All right, so let's get into our first thing. I believe it is a write-in.
Dear Meghan and Melisa, my pronouns are she, her. I'm a proud 21-year-old Gemini, and I've been listening since 2020 lockdown. Y'all kept me sane. And this is my first write-in/call-in. Oh my God, thanks. I am graduating this May with a BA in communication, emphasis in social media and public relations. I just got diagnosed, finally took 9 months, with combination ADHD, and I've recently started to take Vyvanse. It's working for me, and I feel like I'm finally the best version of my quote-unquote work self. With that being said, I'm scared about finally starting my career. I've struggled meeting deadlines and staying organized throughout college because of my undiagnosed ADHD until this semester, my last one at that. I feel like a better, more organized student, but I'm worried I won't succeed in a workplace. I'm also afraid that I won't meet expectations in my field because I've only worked as a waitress for the past 4 years. Side note, Megan, you helped me gain confidence to finally get tested and realize my struggles are not my fault, but related to the fact that I'm neurodivergent. Secondly, this is more for Melisa. I'm a very avid reader, and my dream job would be working for a publishing company as either a copywriter or on their PR team for book releases and press interactions, but I have no experience yet. Do you have any suggestions on how to break into this field? I'm also trying to write a novel, but I feel like that's a long work in progress. Anyways, thank you both so much. Your podcast has helped me in ways you can't imagine. Being the oldest child, you're both like big sisters I never had. Aww. This is so kind.
Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, 4 years as a waitress is not like wasted experience. I think that's actually like incredibly crucial experience that you will have a leg up over coworkers.
Yeah, you have forward facing with customer service, and you can deal with any type of personality. So that's very valuable experience.
Without a doubt. I think it's some of like the most valuable. I think like if you can like try and redefine the definition of like what it means to like succeed in the workplace, because you're just graduating. This is going to be your first job. It's not going to be your last job. So every opportunity is just like to learn more. And there might be things that you're like, oh, I learned that I'm really good at this, or I learned that I should never do this again. Like I learned this, and this. So I would say that like success there is just learning, like for you. And I would not disclose that you have ADHD to your work. There's just no reason to do that, especially like very early on. A lot of workplaces like aren't really great with accommodations. And I think like you suss it out and see if they are and if there's something like that. But, you know, one of like my strengths that I found that really helps without necessarily disclosing it, I'm much more comfortable disclosing it than I would be if I worked in like a corporate place. So I don't want anyone to be like, well, you tell people that you have ADHD. It is just when you're like a freelancer or on a contract or something like that, there's not job security there in general. Like it's finishing out that way. But I'm just like really straightforward with people with like what I need. Like, and instead of like trying to be like, oh, let me figure it out, what people are asking of me and like do it all behind the scenes. If you say like, okay, so you said you want this thing by end of day. Would you like that end of day, East Coast, West Coast time, 3 p.m., this p.m.? Do you want the final draft done by midday? Do you want me to check in with this? And like, if you start off your job by having those kinds of like check-ins and clarifications early on, you don't have to keep doing that, but people are primed and ready for that. They're not expecting you to know absolutely everything. And honestly, like people who are just kind of like silent, like, oh, I can handle this. is not really comforting for a lot of people. Like, it's like, well, you're learning. Let's have a discussion about this early on. And, you know, being disorganized, like, I know people who don't even have ADHD who are very like, there are people at like all levels, at different levels of organization and all like different corporate levels like that. So I think like knowing why you are the way that you are is like very helpful. Like, that's already one. And then learning what works for me in a workplace. Like, how does this work better for me? Like, even in college, like, I knew if in high school, I had to do my homework at school or else I wasn't going to do it. Or in college, if I had an essay, I had to write it the night before, because otherwise I would hate it by the time that I get to it. It wouldn't be good, or I would never actually finish it. So like going into it, knowing that like this might not look as linear as I think it's going to look, or as I've been told it's going to look. But I do think that communications and social media, public relations, all of that is like, you'll find a lot of personality hires in that way, that like you have to be charismatic and you have to be like most people tend to be like very good people. And so those personal relationships are like the foundation of success in your career. It's not always just like metrics and that stuff. So I think like if you find your people, at least for me, it makes me feel assimilating into work a little bit easier, especially when I'm friends with people who are like neurotypical, and I can like watch how they handle things and see how they do it. And then I feel comfortable asking them a question like, okay, so like what I do, and like, oh yeah, totally this way. So I think like as long as you're observing and learning, those should be your expectations of yourself versus other people's expectations of you. Because like companies will like ask stuff out of you that like is physically fucking impossible. So if you view that as like your success metric, I think it'll be a self-fulfilling prophecy that you will not feel successful and you will not be successful. So setting your own personal work goals, I think, is important too.
Yeah, and I don't have ADHD, but I do track everything that I'm doing all day long. When people are talking to me, I write things down. I have a checklist. I also like, for me, and I don't know like what work environment you'll be in, but I do things that excite me first. Like, because like if I go in order of what's on my list, then I might get stuck on one thing where I'm just like, I don't want to do this, so I'm not going to do this. I just have to go to the next thing instead of getting stuck, whatever I'm feeling in that moment. As far as like breaking into publishing, unfortunately, I don't have any information on that. I work directing audiobooks, and that's completely separate. All that is already done by the time it gets to me. Yeah. It's completely separate. So I don't have any information. I don't even talk to those. I talk to the people that produce the audiobooks. Like, that's their job. I don't even talk to anybody else before that.
Yeah. I think if you want to work in publishing, the first thing I would ask you is, do you have a trust fund? Because there's no money in it. Mons had an internship in publishing. That was like one of his like dreams. And that is like, it's such, unfortunately, like a very dying career. It's a very limited career in like the number of roles there are. And therefore they don't have to be incredibly competitive with pay and that stuff. And it's a dream job for a lot of people. And when you have those kinds of dream jobs, they know that people would kill to be there. And so sometimes like you don't necessarily get the best benefits or whatever. But of everything that you said, the thing that I would focus on is like not putting off writing a novel. Like,
yeah, you can do that at any time.
Yeah. And I don't think it can take years, but I don't think it needs to. I don't think you need to wait at all. It's writing, like you will write chapters that you fucking hate and then you're going to get rid of and have to start them over. Like, you don't write a book in one kind of go in that way. Like, you will take different takes on it and different spins on it. You'll want to change things and do all those things. So I would say like getting your foot in the publishing world that way, especially like Book Talk is so big right now and doing all of that kind of stuff. I think like not trying to like put certain life goals and achievements in certain age brackets for you and like waiting until then. I'm very guilty of doing that too, and like holding off on things until you feel like X, Y, and Z. But I think like that's something like to work on as a passion project, especially right now when you're giving you some escapism.
Mm-hmm. Also, people that work in publishing love posting on LinkedIn. I just like get suggested people or I do work in like directing at the big 3 publishing. And so I get suggested people all the time, like, you would be interested in this person. All those people, like, they love talking about their job. So you can get a lot of information by I would say just following publishing companies, and then it'll suggest people for you to follow. You don't have to add them. I wouldn't add them now, like as you're building, but just like follow them so that you can get information, and that can help you.
That's a good call. If I like had to if I still had the same brain and I had to like go to school or change whatever, the social media communications, public relations, like I can pick those bitches out of a lineup and I'm going, that's who I'm talking to. Like that's who I find in a room because I find them like-minded people. So I think that from what you've said, we are the same people and you are now going to the profession of our people. So I think that, you know, giving yourself credit of like knowing yourself, knowing who you are. I just got messed up. If you watch the video on Patreon, you can see me just messing with the couch. So you, I think, are making a lot of the right choices. And even though you just got diagnosed, I think you're very aware of your strengths. And there's a lot of fucking people I know who work in this side of things who are also neurodivergent, specifically have ADHD.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break.
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone. So we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural then and now.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out Real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
And we're back, and it is time for the next one.
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. I am a 29 female who has been dating a 35-year-old male for almost 4 years. It took us probably 2 years to figure out each other sexually, well, for him to figure me out. I enjoy sex, however, I receive almost zero pleasure from the physical act of penetrative sex. Before my current boyfriend, I had never orgasmed during penetrative sex. ever. I thought something was wrong with my body for a long time. I get off mainly by him giving me a hand job and can only climax during penetrative sex if my clit is being stimulated from outside. From some research, I feel like this is actually quite common for females, but not accurately portrayed on social media or movies. I think my boyfriend thinks he is doing a shitty job, and not making me happy when he can't get me off from penetrative sex alone. When in reality, he has figured me out so well I can get off approximately 2 minutes just from him touching me. How do I explain this to him? Am I alone in this feeling? No, most women cannot get off from not having their clit touched. Megan and I, like, we went to see a movie and the photograph, and Megan literally, there's like a sex scene and Issa Rae's character is like having an orgasm. Megan turns to me and she's like, I can see both his hands. There's no way.
I forgot it was so quick.
It was so
and I was like,
quick.
Issa, my girl's acting her ass off. What she's doing is lying. She's being deceitful.
Yes. And I also saw something recently. I don't even know where it was. I don't think it was even on TikTok. Shocker.
Whoa.
Where somebody was also like having a discussion about in media how hands need to be under out of frame, under the covers, because like people think that people are getting off just from penetrative sex, and that is not the case. Like, I'm not.
One position, you got to be a certain position. You got to get ready for that. You have to do other things to get to the point where you have to be, depending on where your anatomy is located in that way, that it's like you have to be close and then on top and then a specific angle, and then there you go.
The only way I can do it from penetrative is
in no hands. That's what I'm saying. Penetrative, no hands.
Specific, no angle, specific angle, but my clit is still rubbing up against something.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
It's just, I'm doing it with, look, no hands.
Yes.
I've never heard someone saying a hand job the way I was like, a hand job and clit. And I was like, whoa, what? I thought this was I had never heard that before. And I just need to know if that's something that we say.
So when I was experimenting with my body in my teen years, there was this website called Jilling Off, which was a sister website to Jacking Off.
I could guess.
Like they operated in the same. I believe it was two partners,
Okay.
and then one.
I don't even know what Jacking Off is.
Jacking
I know that.
Off.
No, but I didn't know the website.
Oh yeah.
Is it porn?
No, it wasn't. It was just information.
Oh, okay.
It was just informative things where I just learned about the body. Yeah, it was great. And I believe they used the term hand jobs when they were talking about stimulating the clit.
I don't know why you like it still applies, but like I've never heard that.
I think because people, again, this is because people are only thinking about fingering, which is penetrative sex.
Oh, wow. Good point.
Yes.
Wow. And it is a job. It's a job. Has this man, are you the first person he slept with? And or what is his experience like? Because to me, 35-year-old man not knowing this is like actually fucking crazy.
Yeah, it is a unique situation, I will say. Well, you used to always recommend She Comes First.
Yeah.
Which has all that information. It's written by a man, so I feel like men can relate to other men, and has all the information about how like penetrative sex is like the last step. It's not the first. But how do you explain it to him? Is he not like physically aware that like when you said he can get you off in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So like
you said you think that he thinks he's doing a shitty job. Does he think he's doing a shitty job, or is he like what is he?
I think that he thinks penetrative sex is the only way to have sex, and then anything else is just like extra. And so he thinks that he's bad at sex because he's only thinking of sex in the penetrative way.
That's so crazy to me, because like, why do you even care what's making? This is 2 minutes of your day. 2 minutes of your day that then you can get me to come, but it's not in the way that you would.
Because
is it like
I think he's thinking too, like, I get off the fastest when I'm inside of her. So like,
I want to be a little more efficient.
Why can't she do the same when I'm inside her?
35.
Yes. Also, is he like hand jobbing you, giving you a handy J while he's inside you too? Because that's also like double the pleasure, double the fun. Does he realize he can do them both at the same time?
Are you coming after him always? Is he feeling like, oh, I have to finish because I didn't? Because right now I'm getting that this man's like not that bright and also maybe a little bit selfish in bed. And so I think that like you shouldn't be if he's like not taking this as an answer, this is from you, and he's like not taking it upon himself to Google, like to be like, oh, this corroborates what she's saying. This just sounds like a little bit of a temper like for what and for why.
Yeah.
Because like we're both getting off. Who's unhappy here?
Right. It's not like he's not trying to educate himself.
No. So I think this is like with love, and this is like no knock on you. I think this is like a little willful ignorance at 35 to kind of like be pissy about this and then not listening to your partner when they're saying this and then not Googling to follow up. So I don't really think you need to worry about his feelings in this way because like these feelings, like all feelings are valid. These feelings to me are like not valid.
Like you're still getting, like
Yeah.
you're still having an orgasm and you enjoy having sex with him. It's just the penetrative part that doesn't realize.
And he's getting you off in 2 minutes.
That is a skill.
That's what I mean.
Like he should be patting himself on the back for that.
And before your current boyfriend, you would never orgasm during penetrative sex ever. And then I get off mainly by this during in only climax during penetrative sex. My clit is being stimulated from the outside. Like you are getting off from penetrative sex. Then it's an anatomy lesson.
Yeah, get the book.
Yeah, get the book. This man is 35 years old and he's getting you off in 2 minutes and he wants to complain. Shut up.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with you. Don't feel bad about yourself. Like you're good.
Yeah, this is everybody's body. This is like, and then people who can get off from penetrative sex more, it's just about where the same things that they have in your body that you have are located. And then also how different things on his body are located, your proportions, like they're flexing, all of those things.
Yep.
Yeah. Just tell him, is he the best sex you've ever had? You can tell him that. You can tell him that if it's a truth or not. But like, I feel like he's trying to complain. He wants to go. Like, what is the solution? What does he want here? What is his ideal? I want you to be able to get off at the exact same time that I'm orgasming. So like, I don't have to spend 2 minutes twiddling these thumbs.
Also, you didn't mention oral sex at all. Are you into oral sex and is he going down on you?
This man should be just like stoked.
Yeah.
Why are we complaining? Not you, him. You did nothing wrong.
It just seems like he's inexperienced.
It does.
Which is fine, but like, educate yourself.
Literally. We all have the same internet. And he's been on this earth 6 years longer than you.
Yep.
Google with those hands that get you off in 2 minutes.
All right, next one.
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. I'm a long time listener. I've been listening since it was just Meghan when I was probably in about 7th or 8th grade. Now I'm an adult, unfortunately. So I'm calling about a situation that I have been having at work. And there really is no solution. I just really want to know your guys' opinion, what you would do, what you think about this. Like Meghan, I grew up in Southern California. I grew up very, very, very liberal. And then I came to college in Oregon, and it was surprisingly not as liberal as I thought it would be. So that kind of taught me to get out of my comfort zone in the sense of having conversations with the other side, learning about the other side, being able to debate, blah, 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 blah. So that being said, I feel like I have a pretty well-rounded view of how people, specifically parents, would feel about a situation like this. So let me just get right into it, even though I didn't. I work in early childhood education. So I've worked with 2-year-olds for a really long time, but more recently, I started working with preschool and K-preps. And one of my K-preppers, so she's just turned 4 years old. We have a new teacher, and we've gotten really close. And she comes to me today at work and goes, so-and-so will not hold any of the brown kids' hands. Watch. And she goes, she will hold, her white friend's hand, but she would not hold any of the other children of other ethnicities' hands. Now, when this happened, I was just, floored, but kind of shocked and didn't really think anything of it. And then later in the afternoon, this same 3-year-old got a table full of other 3-year-olds to stretch her eyes, something that I have not seen since I was in elementary school, and even then I thought that was absurd. And her parents really don't see this as a big deal and even think that talking about race in early education is absurd. So I just kind of wanted to get your advice, see if you think it would be beneficial to talk to my bosses and set up the meeting with her parents, or if this is kind of a live and let be. Is that possible? I guess I'm asking. Thank you so much for your help.
No. This is not a live and let be situation.
Not at all.
Not at all. Because you have other parents who are there. This problem needs to be solved. So this is not an issue, because other parents of their kids don't want to put their kids in the receiving end of this child's taught racism.
Yes,
like, that's not fair.
This is obviously being taught because, I mean, racism isn't something that you're just inherently born with.
At this age, it's even being just mimicked.
It's, yes, like them doing, like, stretching the eyes out is like something that they've seen before.
Yes.
And the parents not thinking that it's a big deal or that race needs to be taught when they're clearly teaching it at home is like a problem. Like, it's a serious problem that needs to be dealt with. It's not something that needs to be swept under the rug, because children influence other children.
Yeah.
And so this child can come to the school and then influence other kids to be hateful towards the brown kids that are there.
Yeah.
And then you not saying anything makes you part of the problem. The other teacher there also not like saying something to you, y'all talking amongst yourselves, that is a problem. You need to report this to your supervisor.
Yeah, immediately. I grew up in Northern California, but I grew up in a predominantly, like overwhelmingly predominantly white area. And despite being liberal, it's very limousine liberal. And so like not a lot of awareness about microaggressions or macroaggressions. Like, it's a lot of people who are like, we're obviously, we vote Democratic. We're obviously incredibly like liberal. So therefore, because we're liberal, we must not be racist or contribute anything to that. And one of the biggest issues that my school had was there was not a huge amount of diversity there. So if things happened, kids said or did things that didn't know, again, mimicked or mimed what they saw at home or things that you saw on TV without any cultural or contextual education about race or what things mean, it would be like, oh, well, no one's being harmed here. So like it took like until we were adults that some of my friends and I were like, holy fucking shit. Like these adults were just like, well, no one's being harmed here because we're in a predominantly white area. And therefore, these are kids, like live and let live. Like the education is something that like people who think they align themselves with a way of voting, it's like an implicit, like inherent thing in your body that therefore it's the same vibe as like, I couldn't be an asshole, I'm a Christian. And it's like, whoa, those things are not fucking related at all. And so as a white kid who's grown up in that instance, I look back on teachers and adults who let quote unquote kids be kids that I'm like, if any of us had known what so-and-so was saying or so-and-so was doing or whatever, other kids then mime other kids there. So the kid who is originally doing this does not know the origin of this. They don't know why they're doing it. They're not coming from a place of hatefulness. The other kids who then will start to participate with the other kid are not doing it from that. There's no origin of hate. The kids who are on the receiving end, that is immediately an origin of hate. Like that's not the point of like the learning thing. Yes, those kids can learn and they don't have malintent initially, but the first person on the receiving end of it, there is malintent on their end. Like there is like you are, the impact of that is negative, and that negativity is not a learned behavior. That's the part that is like so fucking important. And like letting kids learn and letting kids understand is something that as an adult, you have to aid in. It's not something that is just, they are being taught one way. They have to be actively taught the other way. You have to unlearn those things. You have to be taught the opposite, not just this will grow out. They don't know what they're saying. They don't know what they're doing, because kids don't stop miming that. Like they don't stop that unless someone tells them or unless they have like their own conflict with their parents or whatever. And they're like things that like, you know, you hear the adults in your life say when you're a kid that you don't question. But when those adults question other adults, that's really fucking helpful because it tells you as a kid that, oh, not everyone is, I can't trust what everyone says. Everyone has different opinions here. And you're just doing all of these kids such a fucking disservice. I don't believe in teaching a child a lesson when the lesson is at the expense of other people.
Right.
Whatsoever. And like, again, I don't even like the fact that like people at my school, that was something that it was like not touched on because it was like, oh, there's no harm being caused inherently there. I think it's also patronizing to let kids go around saying and doing hateful things, knowing that they don't know it's hateful and letting them keep doing that. Like, especially when you work in early childhood education, like, you know, kids are smart. You know, this kid doesn't have malintent, but you know, this kid, if you told them that like, hey, that is not something we do that can really hurt people, that kid doesn't want to hurt people, but you're letting them do that. And then you're letting the other kids be hurt as a result, as a lesson. And then you're also asking the lesson to be taught by the other kids who are hurt and being like, look how hurt this person is. Doesn't make you not want to do it anymore. And you're making that child play the role of educator.
Yep.
Yeah. Talk to your boss. And I think if your boss doesn't do anything, I would talk to the parents of the other kids and be like, you should go to the school district.
Take it to the local news.
I think that's what I'm saying. You tell the parents, you pull an Abbott Elementary Janine when she's saying that the district's not going to approve the interpreter and saying, hey, this is what's going on here. You should let you know as a source for you. You have to protect all of the kids here, and the kids who are causing harm, it's the children who are receiving the harm who need to be the priority, even if they don't know it at that point, because they will. It's an inevitable thing that they will know.
Yep. All right, we're going to take a break.
Merry Christmas, everybody! My name is Eric Peterson. I'm here with my good buddy,
Danny Jordan.
And we are the hosts of Christmas Countdown Show.
We're so thrilled to be bringing the merriment to you all this holiday season. On Christmas Countdown, we love to count down our top 10 favorite things related to the holiday season. That could be food, movies, music, everything that we all love about this massively merry good time. So wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you click that subscribe button. Eric, are you ready?
I am ready, and we hope that you are too. Merry Christmas, everybody! Let's go!
Do you love Disney? Then you are going to love our hit podcast, Disney Countdown. I'm Megan, the Magical Millennial.
And I'm the Dapper Danielle.
On every episode of our fun and family-friendly show, we count down our top 10 lists of all things Disney. There is nothing we don't cover.
We are famous for rabbit holes, Disney-themed games, and fun facts you didn't know you needed, but you definitely need in your life. So if you're looking for a healthy dose of Disney magic, check out Disney Countdown wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey everyone, join me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa DeMonts, for Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong?
Each week, we deliver 4 fun-filled shows.
In Don't Blame Me, we tackle our listeners' dilemmas with hilariously honest advice.
Then we have But Am I Wrong, which is for the listeners that didn't take our advice. Plus, we share our hot takes on current events.
Then tune in to See You Next Tuesday for our listener poll results from But Am I Wrong?
And finally, wrap up your week with Fisting Friday, where we catch up and talk all things pop culture.
Listen to Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
We're back from our break. The next one is a Google Voice, and we do have it'll like write a transcript, and it's not always accurate, but it says, "Hey Eminem," except this one is spelled like the rapper.
Yep.
And I'm loving it. And the fact that like I assumed this was a write-in, that someone wrote in like that. No, but Google Voice said, "Eminem, I know him. Marshall Mathers, I know that man."
Yep.
Hey, Eminem. Been listening for a while. I'm a little nervous to do this, but trigger warning for suicide being mentioned. I'm 25 female and I'm with John, 30 male, and have been for almost 4 years. So I'm in graduate school in a 5-year program and about a year off from finishing, and I'm currently 150 miles from my hometown, both to my friends and my partner. I'm currently struggling with mental health after a childhood friend that I had lost touch with committed suicide, and overall having increased anxiety from lots of other factors like school. My boyfriend has been so supportive and came to the very hard visitation. School overall, I'm an overachiever and push myself to do and be the best in my research, but I struggle to get through the day because I put so much energy into it. So I had started feeling a lot better the past few weeks, and we had been out to the bars with some friends this past weekend, had a great time, drank a little too much, got a little frisky when we got home, but it all kind of went south. I ended up crying and being really emotional while we were, like a bit tangled, like big sob crying, like not knowing what to say. I kept saying that I thought I was doing better, and he was so supportive, but I feel like it was a lot, and it was a lot of emotions even for me. So talk about a really awkward Sunday brunch date after. We talked a little bit, but I still feel really weird about it. I'm trying to reframe my mind, but I'm still feeling super anxious about everything. Like I'm asking myself, do I even still love him? Do I love myself? What's going on? We have had issues in the past where we therapized each other. I previously did go to therapy, but cost and time are a big issue because of grad school. I've been trying to find one. It's just a tough market with like my knees. So what I'm asking, how do I have this conversation about where I'm going to be without freaking him out or therapizing? Do I wait to have this conversation until I equalize my mind and my nerves? This is the person I really do see myself with. I just don't know where my head is right. And if I wait for that, I know everything will be easier when we can live together once I graduate and we make more of a life together. But right now it feels like a lot. Since I have a second, I'm a Leo and he's a Pisces. Thank you.
Damn, I do hate that fucking combo. As a Leo sun with a Pisces moon. It is so rare that the advice I give is like, keep it to yourself. But I'm going to say keep it to yourself because you need a therapist. And I totally understand that right now that is like not something that is achievable. But if it is not achievable, then it is not achievable. And like with love, I need you to like Pandora's box your emotions up until you are ready for that, because the alternative right now, what you're doing is then having him act as a therapist, and that's not cool. And, if I had a friend who was going through this, if they like primed me and they're like, hey, I'm like going through a lot. I like cannot afford therapy right now. If there's any chance at any point and like you can say no, if I can just like come and vent to you for like an hour about things, like I would really appreciate that. I would be like, for sure, like totally can't do it today, not feeling like I don't have the stamina or energy for that, but like come on over this day, like we'll do that. But I saw this analogy on Reddit, and it's not exactly the same, but it was talking about like someone who's at like the there's like turmoil or something going on and like heightened emotions and from like all different points. And if you draw like a circle around the whole circumstance in the situation, and everybody who's in the circle is like involved, and the people the closest they are to the middle are the ones who are like the most directly affected by it. And therefore those people are all not necessarily catalysts, but they're all people who are involved in the stress that is going on in your life. So therefore, they are not the people that you talk to about it. Like if they are in that circle, they are involved. So you cannot involve them in this way to talk about because they have skin in the game. So you say that you want to be with him, you see a future with him and all of that thing. So like the rhetorical questions of like, do I love him? Do I even love myself? Those are not questions that he needs to hear, because the response to that from him is, do you want to break up? And you're like, no. So then why does he know that information? I think it's just opening up a whole, you're feeling really lost and confused. And the solution to that is not to make him also feel super lost and confused. I think everything you're feeling is totally normal, totally valid. When like a really traumatic thing happens when you're already so stressed and you don't have the time to process that thing, it's just hard. It makes like all of the fuses a lot shorter. It makes all of the relationships a lot more tense. But I think if you cannot find a therapist at the time, reading a lot of books about grief, reading a lot of books about, mental health therapy, stress, all of these things, utilizing, I know you're in like grad school, if there's like any programs that they have there, like doing anything you can with that free time to focus on that, because your boyfriend is already involved because he's attached to you by proxy. He's involved in all of this. And so to turn and use him as a therapist, that is like, it's like complaining to a lot of people. This doesn't apply to my life. So if it doesn't apply to your life, factor it in a different way that would. But it's like when people will complain to their parents about their partner and then ask their parents to not have any feelings about that and to be totally moved on from it, removed from it. And so then you get in this horrible fight and then you tell them everything and you're like, I fucking hate him and all of that. And they're like, God damn it, I hate him too. I can't believe you said all of those things. And then you make up and you never tell all of the good things to your parents. And then you're asking them to just be cool with that and to not hold on to any of that. So he is involved in this with the relationship. So he's not unbiased if you throw a hypothetical question there out that involves him or involves like your future or whatever that is, then he's spiraling. And then who's he supposed to talk to about that? You know?
Yeah.
I just don't. There are even times like when like the mom's will talk to me about something and I'm like so like I'm here for I'll hear in the venting this. I don't think I can offer you any like constructive advice because like I'm like burn their fucking house down. I'm like, you should talk to X, Y, and Z person to get some like constructive like ideas or advice about what to do for this because this is not my expertise, but like I'm fucking here to rally with you and to like listen when you vent, like knowing where your capabilities are and knowing like, oh, this is not a conversation for this person.
I'm wondering, since you are in grad school, do they have like someone in the health facility that you can talk to? And that's usually free or very low cost. I know when I was in college, one of my friends was murdered and they had someone that we could specifically talk to that dealt with like a therapist that we could talk to that dealt with grief. And then there was also other therapists like for other things that we needed. So I know sometimes they are like grad students, but you can ask specifically for someone that's licensed as well. So maybe look into what services are available at your health center and talk to your advisor too, because they can probably also point you in the direction of any information that you may not be aware of.
Yeah, I think he's a non-starter for people to have this talk with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, talk with your friends, talk with a class, talk with a teacher, talk with a TA. Like, talk to like he's not even an option on this, and that's not deceitful. That's not hiding anything. That's like not being truthful and honest because like you're having a hard time right now with. I don't want to say like your grasp on or like your sense of self. You're having a really hard time with that, and he doesn't need to know that. Also, once you tell him that, he is also free to make his own decisions. And he might not be comfortable with that information because he can only know it in the way that he would perceive that. So he can't be in your brain. And I just don't think that it would be beneficial. Or even filtering it to him, I don't think is beneficial. And it's not deceitful to hide it. I did recently see on Reddit, someone had suggested, and I don't know where it's all located. So that was what I was trying to figure out when I was Googling this. Oh, I think it's everywhere. Yeah. So Open Path Collective, and they can provide you names with therapists who offer sessions between like just like less than like $70 a session, $40 a session.
Oh, we also, in our show notes, we also have a list of places that offer therapy on like a sliding scale too.
Yeah. So I know you said that like you were not having like, it was hard for you to find even like with like the time and all that stuff, but like even a therapist like to meet your needs. I think at this point, pursuing therapy, even if it's like this one session didn't work, this other okay, keep trying and maybe settling for a therapist who is not like a perfect ideal long-term solution, but like you need something right now.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as it's not destructive, it might not be the perfect fit initially, but it's imperative that you get it now. And it can be a step to another therapist who is a lot better. But like when we're in like times of crisis like this, and like I just don't think people take stress seriously enough, like especially when stress compounds with all of these other things. Like it's all consuming, and it's not just like a, you know, grit your teeth and bear it kind of thing. So yeah, I think that needs to be your like absolute priority. And as like a partner, I would totally understand, you know, being like, no, like you focus on this. I'll help you find therapists. Like Psychology Today is also great. But yeah, Open Path Collective, you might want to meet in person. But like if you have to settle for online, settle for online. Like I just think like you need something right now.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry. And you're going to get through this, and it like sucks. But that feeling of all that questioning is not permanent, thankfully.
Yeah, you've got this.
Mm-hmm. Now it's time for Don't Blame Them. This is where a listener will call in or write in with their own advice pertaining to a call or write-in we had on a previous episode. So they might have professional experience, they might have personal experience with it, or just some ideas or insight input that we did not mention that they would like to touch on.
Hey, Meghan and Melissa, I'm calling in for Don't Blame Them regarding the recent update call about the girl whose sister's boyfriend sucks. I have a lot of experience with this, and I wanted to share my perspective because it's a bit different from the advice that you gave. Basically, when my sister was 25, she started dating a guy who was 50, so twice her age. They worked together, and he was also dating someone for the first few months of them knowing each other, so for a variety of reasons, she kept this relationship a secret and isolated herself from me, my family, her friends, her band, everyone, and even moved out of our apartment building. When we eventually figured out what was going on, myself, my family, and our friends did a lot of what you discussed. Made their opinions on him and the situation known, didn't want to be around him, accused it of being an unhealthy relationship, decided to give her space to figure it out on her own, etc. And I can see now that those things only pushed her away from us and closer to him. She probably felt like everyone was against him and their relationship and that no one understood or was on their side, which made her become defensive, protective of him, and feel like she only had him. And I'm sure that she told her boyfriend everything that was said, so then he really didn't want her around us anymore. I also think that all of this happening at that age made it worse because she was trying to be an adult and assert independence in her life, but also was very much still figuring it out because it was her first serious relationship. I haven't seen my sister in 5 years and we don't talk. We used to be best friends, so it's been really hard to watch this happen and to try so many things, all for them not to work. If I could go back and do things differently, I would listen to anything she wanted to tell me. I would bite my tongue on my opinion of him when possible, focus on supporting her. I would encourage her not to move out, especially if it's 3 hours away, and just try to keep her talking to me. I would do my best to have her view me as a safe, judgment-free space, so that maybe if she sees things start to turn bad in the future, she would come to me. Now, I'm not saying you have to be a cheerleader for him or their relationship, but I think there's a big difference between that and reminding her every time she brings him up that you don't like him, don't want to hear about him, and don't want him around. At this point, the caller sister knows how she feels about him, so there's no point to keep saying it because it will push her away or she won't want to talk to the caller about him anymore. I understand that it's hard when he's around, but I'd rather be around my sister's shitty boyfriend rather than never see her again. I get Meghan and Melissa's point of letting her figure out how shitty he is on her own and hoping that she'll eventually dump him, because sometimes people do just need to learn on their own. But I think it's important to be by her side while she figures it out, and also recognize that maybe she just won't figure it out, but you have to love her anyway. I also had a similar situation with a friend, and after they broke up, that friend told me that they appreciated my approach because it gave them a space to talk out their feelings and talk through things with me without feeling judged, and that was very different from how other people treated the situation. I've tried everything to get my sister back and nothing has worked, so I just really want to try to help you keep yours. I hope this was helpful, or at least gives you something to think about.
Devastating. That's devastating. And hearing you say, like, she might never figure it out, damn, you're right. And that's something that, like, I didn't even think about because I don't, like, you don't want that for anyone. The way that I call her, read between the lines of what I'm saying. I said something off mic to when we got the update from this original girl about what I wished for that man. I wish it for your sister's man. You want to hear how crazy my brain is with math? I went, this man's still alive? 55 million? Good God. What do you mean? I was like, he's still alive. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess just figure out, do what you think is best. Because I had the opposite experience.
Yeah.
You know your sister better than anybody, so.
Totally. And I think it's also like it's innate based on like who you are. And this was an instinct that you had and you were able to do it with a friend and a sister. And some people don't have, like, I don't have that capability.
Mhm.
I don't have that like bandwidth like that. Like,
I can't fake it.
no. And like, I will drive myself insane. And then I'm no longer a good friend. I'm not a good support system. Even if I'm pretending it's not benefiting you because like I'm my heart's not in it, and then I'm avoiding you, and then I don't want to see you, and then I'm actually not there. So yeah, I don't know if the original caller, if this resonates with them, but I hope they're listening to this because this is like so not us.
Yep.
And it's always really good to get like totally different advice in this sense. I hope for the thing that I didn't say, if you can read between the lines, but I really hope for you and your sister reconciling, and I wouldn't hold any regrets if I were you. Like, I think that like, no matter what people know that you love them, you know, like when it comes from that place. And I don't think that this is like permanent or the end of it.
Yeah.
Also because he is 55. Horrible. Horrible, 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 horrible.
All right. Well, that's the end of our episode.
We hope you all enjoyed. If you did, you can leave us a review on the podcast app or on Spotify. You can also support the show on Patreon. You can watch the video versions of all of our podcasts because it's not just this one. We also have a See You Next Tuesday, which is our little like catch up, talk, chatty chat, which comes out on Tuesdays. You guessed it. Wednesday, we give you a bit of a break. Thursday, we're back with But Am I Wrong? Where, we call that like ethical gossip, shit talking, and we touch on everything. And of course, we'll be talking more about Beyonce. And then we have Friday, which is Fisting Friday, which we read the results of the previous episode of Don't Blame Me. And if you're confused by that, just hop onto the archives, like check the little back catalog, familiarize yourself, and just know that you've got us 4 days a week. And if that's not enough, you can join our Patreon to not only get the video versions, but you can also join our live stream. Speaking of, should we do one?
A live stream?
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. So, we hang out, we chit chat, we talk, we have so much fun. We play Monopoly Go all together. We trade stickers. You can join if you join the Patreon, you can join we got a little Facebook group too, specifically for trading stickers. But then we have another big Facebook one where we all hang out and talk and chat, and it's a great time. It's like a really great way to like seek input from other people of just like, hey, I'm trying to find like a wedding dress. I mean, like a bridesmaid's dress in this color, or like, what should I do for this? Traveling to the city, I don't have any recommendations of restaurants, or, moving it. Does anyone know any jobs in this area or whatever? And people have like met up in the same cities or when they're traveling, which is always really fun.
And I'll say that I just let a bunch of people into the Facebook group. So that's fun. Letting people in.
Let the light in. Isn't that a Bible song?
This little light of mine,
Yeah.
I'm going to let it shine.
Is that a Bible song?
Yeah.
Are there songs in the Bible?
There's a book called Psalms, PSAL.
The Psalm. Kim's
and,
kid.
and yes. And those are all like poems and that can be songs.
I just realized, like, where are we getting those songs from that people
They're
sing?
pulling from quotes in the Bible and then
Oh.
making those songs. I want to share, someone wrote something on Spotify from a Don't Blame Me episode, the one I Don't Want to Get Married. And in that episode, someone asked about like how to make friends at work. And someone commented, "Thank you, Melissa, for validating that not all of us want to spend our lunches with coworkers. They already see me 7 hours. Now they got to have my break too." So thank you for sharing.
I love when you read that as if you wrote that. Like,
I did.
the entire attitude behind it, like mine did.
Yep.
But we hope y'all enjoyed. Thanks for hanging out with us. And I'll see you soon. Tomorrow, really.
Yeah. See you on Tuesday.
And then the next Tuesday.
Mhm.
And then we'll see you the next Tuesday. Goodbye.
Bye.
Don't Blame Me is a production by me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa D. Montz, plus Diamond Imprint Productions.
Post-production sound and editing by Coco Lorenz.
Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson.
Welcome to the small town of Chinook, where faith runs deep and secrets run deeper. In this new thriller, religion and crime collide when a gruesome murder rocks the isolated Montana community. Everyone is quick to point their fingers at a drug-addicted teenager, but local deputy Ruth Vogel isn't convinced. She suspects connections to a powerful religious group. Enter federal agent V.B. Laureau, who has been investigating a local church for possible criminal activity. The pair form an unlikely partnership to catch the killer, unearthing secrets that leave Ruth torn between her duty to the law, her religious convictions, and her very own family. But something more sinister than murder is afoot, and someone is watching Ruth.
Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go network by listening today. Look for the Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Laura Cathcart-Robbins, and I'm the host and creator of Only One in the Room podcast. Every week, my co-host Scott Slaughter and I invite you to join us for an hour and lose yourself in someone's incredible Only One story. We talk to the realest of real people, dealing with issues like infertility, addiction, human trafficking, and body shaming. Oh, and we want to be fair, so we talk to some celebrities too. Oscar winners, New York Times bestselling authors, supermodels, and even the most decorated U.S. Winter Olympian. Everyone is invited to share their Only One story with our listeners. This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt alone in a room full of people, which is to say that this podcast is for everyone. Download Only One in the Room wherever you listen to podcasts today.